BlackRock. How many of y'all have ever heard of BlackRock? How many of y'all have ever heard of BlackRock? BlackRock, they say, controls the world. You probably even heard of it before, but you just overlooked it or you didn't really think much about it because it's just the name, and it's largely believed that they try to stay or they try to keep their name out of the media as much as possible. But they say that BlackRock is largely the organization that controls most of what happens throughout the world. I'm going to share with a video. I'm going to share a couple different videos. The first video that I'm going to share with you is somewhat of an introductory video to help you to understand who BlackRock is. And then the second video I'm going to share with you is a recruiter that got exposed telling the secrets of how the organization works. Shout out to Mrs. Crotty Shetty in the building. I'm going to be reading these super chats shortly. Make sure y'all hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get to it.
BlackRock is a financial giant. It's the largest investor on planet Earth with over $9 trillion in assets. That's a pile of cash equal to about 1/10 of a year's global economic activity.
9.5, not billion, $9.5 trillion under management, meaning that they are managing pensions, they are managing large hedge fund investments, they are managing assets, and when you have that amount of money, you control everything. You control lobbying. You control what happens in the Senate. You control what laws get passed. You control what's happening in the real estate market. You control what's happening with food. You control what's happening with distribution. And so when you have a lot of these people having conversations about what's going on in society and what's going on in America, they're so focused on the wrong thing because they're more focused on the federal government, but they're not focused on who's controlling the federal government, right? But let me continue to give you a little bit of insight of who BlackRock is, right?
That means the money managers at BlackRock have a big say in how the world runs. Here's CEO Larry Fink talking to CNBC in 2021.
And I've been on your show now probably 4 times every year at the very least for 22 years as a public company and even longer.
No trendy locks. BlackRock is not losing money. They never lose money, okay?
When we were private, talking about retirement.
BlackRock is indeed influential. In the US, it owns at least 5% of most major companies.
It owns at least, not limited to, but at least 5% of most major companies, which means that they all got seats on the board. And more importantly, they have an interest in what happens with these companies and whether or not they're profitable. But let's continue.
That gives the firm lots of voting power to determine how public businesses operate.
A lot of people don't understand what publicly traded companies and how they operate are like, right? So I'm gonna give you a little bit of insight, right? And this is one of the things that we break down inside of the Patreon when we talking about the companies that you're looking to invest in and the things that you need to look for, or the 8 things that you need to do in order to invest in a company to vet whether or not it's something that you should put your money into, right? And so the way that these companies work is that publicly traded companies, right, have a vested interest in doing the thing that's in the best interest of the shareholders. What's up, baby? Do I have it? Publicly traded companies have a vested interest in not doing the thing that's in the best interest of the public, but doing the best interest of the thing that are the shareholders. Now, let's say, for example, you have a shareholder or a company that owns 5 to 10% of your business, right? And let's say that business is worth, I don't know, $1 billion, right? So if that business is worth $1 billion, in which they control $9.5 trillion in assets, right? So that's just a small piece of the pie. But let's say they got a company and it's worth $1 billion and they have a vested interest in seeing that company successful. Well, that means that if they own 10% of that company, then they own $100 million worth of assets in that company. And so now you get a seat on the board, which means that seat on the board is also directing where it is or what direction that the company is going. And then a lot of people are so focused on the CEOs. The CEOs are appointed by the shareholders and the board. The board are the ones that have the most interest in seeing the company be successful, right? And so whether or not the company is going to go left or whether or not the company is going to go right, whether they're going to add more money into the economy by owning more assets, whether they're going to go and do this, whether they're going to do that. The CEO is basically the one that's executing on a vision of the shareholders who are largely being controlled by the board, right? The board is the determining factor for whether or not the CEO is even hired or fired in the first place. So a lot of people are always focused on Tim Cook, right? Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos. Well, Jeff Bezos' power has nothing to do with him being the CEO of the company or when he was the CEO of the company. It has everything to do with the fact that he's a chairman or he still has a significant portion of the assets that then determine the direction of the company. He's going to determine who's the CEO going to be to replace him, right? When we talking about Ford Motor Company, one of the things that Ford did was they structured their company to where their voting power still remains with the Ford family. So even though it's a publicly traded company, they still control 51% of the voting shares, which means that they're the determining factor for whatever happens within that company. So if you believe in Ford Motor Company, essentially you have to believe in the vision of the Ford family, right? And BlackRock is more powerful, allegedly, than any other asset manager or company on the face of this fucking earth. Because when you control 9.5 trillion, which is bigger than a 2 to 3 trillion. Listen, 9.5 trillion in assets is bigger than Microsoft and Apple combined. Think about that shit for a minute. You're bigger than Apple, Microsoft, and Google combined in asset management. If the valuation of a country is of a company is worth 1 trillion or $2 trillion, they're bigger than all three of those companies. They're more influential. They have more assets under management than all three of those companies combined. Think about that shit for a minute and put it in perspective. More powerful than a country. Can control your military. Can determine what's going to happen in presidential elections. Are forming super PACs and have lobbyists that lobby on behalf of these companies, right? Let me play a little bit more, and then we're gonna deep dive into this whistleblower. This he's not even a whistleblower. He was a person that admitted what was happening within the company and didn't know it. And you know how they got him to admit it? A woman, a hoe, a woman finessed this dude into talking too much on camera. But we gonna get to it.
BlackRock rose to the top of the financial system in a short span of time. After its IPO in 1999, its stock has increased 7,539% through December.
7,500. Whenever you have a stock, an IPO, an initial public offering, and the value of that company is increased all more than 7,600%, that's insane. 7,600%.
December 2020. Along the way, the company used technology to minimize the risks of investing.
BlackRock, as well as the other ETF providers,
Thank you for the super chats. I'm going to be reading these shortly.
have done a great job in bringing a product to investors that provides diversification in investment portfolios at a relatively inexpensive price. And I think there's good reasons for them having grown to scale.
According to BlackRock, risk management today means adapting to the changing climate.
The largest oil and gas producers and the largest carbon emitters are state-controlled enterprises.
Their leadership has the sway to push global institutions into action.
BlackRock's relationship with the Fed is a really useful thing for the public to know about. The central bank can do things to make our lives better, and it can do stuff to make some people really rich.
Here's how BlackRock shot to the top of the financial industry.
Now that's irrelevant, right? We don't really care about that. If y'all want to go over and watch the rest of this video, then go over to CNBC and look up the video that's called How BlackRock Became the Largest Asset Manager, and you can learn more about this company. I encourage you to do so, because the more informed you are of what's happening within our society, the less you're going to start to continue to have these conversations that's stupid, talking about how the system is set up against you. No, it's a wealth war. It's a war that controls what happens within our legislative branches, our food, our neighborhoods, on a local scale, what's happening within your community colleges, oil, climate change, wars, everything that's happening all across the world is controlled by people that control the resources, right? And you don't even know who they are. And this is why you keep having these dumb conversations, because it keeps you distracted from what's really happening out here in the society. So I encourage you to go out and watch this video, but I'm not going to play that video right now. I want to deep dive into something completely different, right? And the thing that I want to deep dive into, and I want to play this video really quickly for y'all, I even contemplated, I'm going to be honest with y'all, very few things that puts a little bit of a, I'm not going to say fear, but put a pause on some of the things that I present or some of the things that I want to talk about publicly. And to even have a conversation about this is one of them. It is one of them. Even when I tried to source this next video that I'm about to show y'all, even when I tried to source this next video, it wouldn't even let me pull it up at first. I had to do a little bit of deep diving in order to get this video and then see what's happening. But I'm going to play this video for y'all really quickly, and then I want y'all to give me y'all thoughts, or I want y'all to actually start paying attention to what's happening, and you let me know whether or not this makes sense.
They don't want to be in the news. They don't want people to talk about them. They don't want to be anywhere on the radar.
Why not?
I don't know, but I suspect it's probably because it's easier to do things when people aren't thinking about it.
So this recruiter's name for BlackRock, his name is Serge Varley. Serge Varley, right? And this was recorded literally less than 11 days ago. He's talking to a woman, and the woman is wearing an undercover camera, and she's extracting all kinds of information from this motherfucker. So he's sitting thinking that she actually is interested. Let this be a lesson for y'all. There's more than one lesson in this conversation, right? She's sitting, he thinking that she's actually interested in his conversation. And this is how I keep telling y'all, if you ever want to see the fall of a man, the fall of a company, the fall of Rome, the fall of your household, all you got to do is send a woman. Women are always going to be at the forefront of a downfall of any man or any situation. Motherfuckers is out here running their mouth like chatty patties, telling all of the company secrets. If I ever want to get you set up, I promise you I won't be at your doorstep. It's going to be the woman that you love the most. If I ever wanted to get you set up, which I feel comfortable saying this because I would never, ever set you up. I want everybody to win. I want everybody to be successful. Why would I ever fumble my bag? If I ever want to get you set up, all I got to do is get a woman out there in front of you and you're going to run your fucking mouth because you think that she like you when in reality she's setting you the fuck up. Let's continue.
All of these financial institutions, they buy politicians. You can take this big ton of money, and then you can start to buy people. I work for a company called BlackRock.
Meet Serge Varley, a recruiter at BlackRock.
Let me tell you, it's not through who's the president. It's who's controlling the wallet.
He's telling you he works at BlackRock. This is not an old video. This is literally recorded over the span of a month within the last month. Over the span of a month within the last month, he's at dinner. He's taking strolls in the park. He's meeting her at the cafe and having coffee. And this dude is telling you right out, and they put the caption on there, it's not about who the president is. Y'all think it's Biden. Nope. It's not about the president. It's about who's controlling the wallet of the president, who's promising the president what's going to happen after the president no longer is the president. President Obama is more rich than he's ever been in his entire... President Obama, they say President Obama and Michelle Obama is billionaires now.
So it's
And who's that?
the hedge funds, BlackRock, the banks. These guys run campaign financing. Yep, you can buy your candidates. Obviously, we have the system in place. First, there's the senators, and these guys are cheap. You got 10 grand, you can buy a senator.
If you have 10... Yo, I'm telling you, I was very, very skeptical of even playing this video in the first place. He said if you got 10 grand, these guys are cheap. You got 10 grand, you can buy a senator. I want me a senator. Who's my local senator? Don't worry about it. I don't want you to know where I'm going to be at buying senators. I love buying me some humans. I spent 10 grand on a throw at the casino probably 2 weeks ago. One throw, 10 grand. One throw, 10 grand. If you got, he said these guys are fucking cheap. If you got $10,000, you can buy a senator. This is a man that is running his mouth to a woman that don't have his best interest at heart. If you got 10 grand, you can buy a senator. See, this is the Millionaire Morning Show. This is the stuff that the black community don't want to have a conversation about. They're not giving you this sauce on none of these other channels. Anton Daniels is giving you the sauce.
I can give you 500K right now. No questions asked.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this. We're done.
Does like everybody do that? Does BlackRock do that?
It doesn't matter who wins.
You're still right.
They're in my pocket at this point.
It doesn't matter who wins. It doesn't really matter who wins. You know, one of the things that people don't understand is that when Donald Trump was really, really heavy into business and he wasn't into politics, and one of the reasons why he said that we needed to drain the swamp. And how do you know that we need to drain the swamp? Because he said that he knows everything that happens within the swamp. What people don't understand is that if you look at campaign financing records, Donald Trump, he donated to both the Democratic and the Republican candidates that would be in both elections. Both the Democratic and the Republican candidates. He would donate to both of them. Both of them. Where do you think that super PACs came from? How do you think that it's so easy for people to be able to hide the money that they donate over into these senators and these congressmen and these legislative branches? Y'all, you know the funniest thing about this whole thing is, y'all think that it's meaningful that you over here writing letters over into these congressmen and these senators, and you think that they actually care about you. This man just told you for $10,000 you can have your own senator. For $10,000 you can have your own senator.
Here's Serge Varley on how good war is for BlackRock's business.
Do you have any thoughts on the Ukraine-Russia war?
Yeah, I mean, I do have thoughts.
What are they?
Ukraine is good for business. You know, right? I'll give an example. Russia blows up Ukraine's grain silos. Price of wheat's gonna go mad up. Ukrainian economy is tied very largely to the wheat market, global wheat market.
Are y'all paying attention? Because I know that y'all think that the war, America could have just not participated in the war and they could have gave us our reparations. You don't really see the Tetris play. You don't see the dominoes falling. You don't see what it is that he's saying. Ukrainian economy is largely tied to the wheat market. So why not empower these presidential candidates, allegedly, and all of your legislative branches to help protect us by sending over this and that and going on. I'm going to send billions of dollars. I'm going to send our latest drone technology. I'm going to send some tanks over there. I'm going to send some heat-seeking missiles and all of this other type of stuff. You know why? Because we're able to control and we know exactly what's going to happen to the wheat market, knowing that the Ukrainians are very largely tied to the wheat market. Well, what happens when we then have a war over in Ukraine? Well, that means that we're going to limit the amount of wheat that's output, and then the value of wheat is just going to go up. So if I already know what the play is, because this is like insider trading on steroids. If I already know what the fucking play is, if I already know how the senators and the congressmen and the legislative branches and what the fuck is going to happen before it even happened, before it's announced to the general public, if I already know what's going to happen with our politicians, if I already know exactly what the price of this is going to be compared to what it is in yesteryear, that's better than fucking owning a casino. That's better than owning. War is profitable. So while your kids is over there fighting a war, right? Guess who's monetizing from it? Damn, I should just end this live stream right now. I'm not even sure that I need to even be having this conversation, but let's continue.
Prices of bread, literally everything it goes up and down. This is fantastic if you're trading. Volatility creates opportunity to make profit. War is real good for business. It's exciting when goes wrong, right? BlackRock manages 20 trillion. It's incomprehensible number.
So he's saying that, BlackRock actually controls even more than we thought that it is. Because see, The CNBC report said that BlackRock controlled 9.5 trillion. This guy right here, all it takes is a woman shaking her butt in front of you. You know what I'm saying? She probably a plain Jane white girl that's over there. Probably gave him a little bit of love, said that, listen, you so cute. Why don't we go over to your place? He said it's actually closer to 20, and it's incomprehensible numbers.
BlackRock Serge Varley says all of this is above a normal person's understanding.
You're like an undercover reporter. No people don't give a shit. This is beyond them.
Look, and think about it. He had already figured it out. His instinct said that, yo, you like an undercover reporter. Like, most people don't even ask these type of questions. His instincts had kicked in, and he realized, like, yo, listen, I don't even know why I should even be talking to you. But guess what he continued to do? He ignored his better judgment, and he kept fucking talking.
So interesting.
OMG News. Here, BlackRock, shares of companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Anheuser-Busch, Meta, Target, Procter & Gamble, Comcast, CNN, Fox, and yes, Pfizer. Just to name
Wait a minute. You're telling me that BlackRock controls both CNN and Fox News? They control the competitors. They have a vested interest in both of them. They control what's being put out to the media, what stories is going out. They have a vested interest in this?
At OMG, we do not shy away from exposing powerful companies, and we're not afraid of powerful people. So we decided to take a look for ourselves at the influence BlackRock has on our politics and the influence they have on our culture. So to do that, what better place to start a hidden camera investigation than into a self-described gatekeeper at BlackRock?
Like, you're kind of like a fucking gatekeeper at BlackRock.
Yeah, I am. I decide people's fates. Every fucking day, I literally decide how somebody's life is going to be shaped.
This nigga's God. And God got finessed by a woman. Playing God and got finessed by a woman. Shout out to Eve. I bet you this woman's name is Eve. This dude literally just said, yo, I decide people's fates. Every day I decide your fate. And getting finessed by a chick for the streets.
That's so powerful. I love it.
Yeah, it's...
That's so powerful. I love it. Boy, that's so powerful. I love it.
I don't know, the whole thing of like domination from a concept is it's so interesting.
Introducing Serge Varley, whose LinkedIn says he's worked for Morgan Stanley, Citadel, and now as a recruiter at BlackRock.
I work for a company called BlackRock. I'm not actually a finance guy. I know what happens because I'm recruiting people who do these things. Mm-hmm. I'm the person who headhunts people from other firms. So I would approach you and be like, hey, this is a good reason why you should come work for us.
Serge tells us who really runs the world, how they do it, and just how much it costs to buy people, like politicians.
Let me tell you, it's not through who's the president. It's who's controlling the wallet. So it's the,
And who's that?
The hedge funds, BlackRock, the banks. These guys want campaign financing. Yep, you can buy your candidates.
How so?
All of these financial institutions, they buy politicians.
How do they run the world?
You acquire stuff. You diversify, you acquire, you keep acquiring, you spend whatever you make in acquiring more. And at a certain point, your risk level is super low. Like, imagine you've invested in, like, 10...
Look at this dude. He got a bottle of wine, getting sauced up, sitting there on sitting there on the grass at a picnic, having a conversation with a chick. Unreal.
Different industries, from food to drinks to like technology, right? One of them fails, it doesn't matter. You have 9 others to back you up.
risk management is inherently in just about everything, and in the finance space, it's all about it's all about the money you make. You don't let it sit. You keep using it over and over, and
Reinvest.
Yeah, and it exponential growth.
And then once you just own a little bit of everything, is that where the control?
Yeah, you own a little bit of everything, and that little bit of everything gives you so much money on a yearly basis that you can take this big ton of money, and then you can start to buy people. Obviously, we have the system in place. First, there's the senators, and these guys are cheap. You got 10 grand, you can buy a senator. It doesn't matter who wins.
You're still gonna...
They're in my pocket at this point. I can give you 500K right now, no questions asked.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what needs to be done. They're like, yeah, of course.
And
why not?
does everybody do that? Does BlackRock do that?
The BlackRock recruiter also tells us about how the U.S. government relies on BlackRock for their economic simulation computational power.
Economic simulation. They need to understand the impact of something, right? They're gonna raise the interest rate, for example. Mm-hmm. It's gonna create this cascade of various factors that they're not sure what it's gonna do, basically.
And just how f***ing great the Ukraine war is for business.
Do you have any thoughts on
we already got to this point.
Russia war?
Ukraine is good for business. Up events, that's what people like to watch. So when it happens, it's good business. More viewers. When nothing's happening, watches news. I don't watch news.
They're all pushing the same talking point. You generally, when you look at news,
it's propaganda. The Ukrainian economy is tied very largely to the wheat market, global wheat market. And so, yeah.
Even gave our journalists some tips.
Based on everything we know now, when they say to sell, does that mean we should buy?
And so, yeah. It's like, Jim Cramer? If you do exactly the opposite of what he's advising, you actually make money.
Huh?
Yeah. It's called the inverse Cramer. They don't want to be in the news. They don't want people to talk about them. They don't want to be anywhere on the radar.
Why not?
I don't know, but I suspect it's probably because it's easier to do things when people aren't thinking about it.
And
that's crazy. It's crazy how a woman can get this level of information, A, out of a man. And then it's B, it's because we all kind of knew this. A lot of people know that there's people that's controlling things, but it's different when you have somebody that confirms it, that actually works for the organizations and goes in and says these type of things.
Recently sold $100 million worth of BlackRock.
Now, a lot of people don't know that Larry Fink is actually the CEO of BlackRock.
Wow. Damn, Larry, that's not a good sign. The people who trade and make money, they do this the moment the information is out. And that info is typically disseminated at private levels first before it hits the main.
So that basically means it's insider trading. What's this guy's name? I wonder if we can find out if this dude even still exists anymore. What's this dude's name? Serge Varley? Serge Varley, huh? Oh, his LinkedIn disappeared, that's for sure. Oh, there's no more Serge Varley on LinkedIn. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I wonder where Serge's LinkedIn went. Where do you think it went, Rita? Anyways, neither here nor there. So apparently Serge has disappeared from the internet. Yo, if anything ever happens to Anton Daniels, I will not destroy myself. I will not execute myself. I am not suicidal. I am not scared. I am not crazy. I feel really good. I am in my sound right mental mind. I am not cancerous. I do not have any terminal diseases. I do not have any venereal diseases. I do not have anything wrong. I do not have anything that's stressing me. I'm not having issues. I don't have any side chicks. I don't have any kind of things that's happening. I have nothing going on in my life whatsoever that would cause me ever at any point to be distressed or bothered, to ever get mad or to have a problem or to go and jump off a bridge or to disappear to another country. I do not have anything whatsoever that's going on in my life that makes me feel a certain type of way. As a matter of fact, not only am I not like that, listen, hey, BlackRock, I don't mind working for you. The bag, I am a bag chaser. I am a person that will execute on the vision of what Larry Fink thinks is in the best interest of the company. Come and kick it with your boy. Shout out to BlackRock.